Hey guys, Fluff here, back at you with another Dragon Ball TCG deck profile. Today we're looking at Hit Universe 6. This has kind of been my project since the release of Set 7, and I've had a few things going on, so I've not been as active in the game as I would have liked to have been. And I will concede, despite my pride, that Kaba Universe 6 is probably a little bit better in the competitive scene, but this deck is pretty fun for casual play. I'm still working on it, so if I can come up with something better, I'll post it later down the line. Otherwise, hopefully you guys like it. I'm kind of ride or die for Hit, as you can see by the mat, and also the thematics of the deck. So on the front side, the leader's got an activate main once per turn, choose one card in your life, add it to your hand, then free play a blue or yellow 1-drop Universe 6. So you can play the Khalifa, Kale, or Kaba from your hand for free. Once you're at 4 or less life, he's a hybrid leader, so you're going to draw one, retap one, and flip him over. On his backside, he's got the typical, when this leader attacks, draw one, and then his secondary effect is if your opponent's leader is flipped back to its front side, you get to select a blue or yellow Universe 6 card with an energy cost of 3 or less and play it. So this is going to be related to our win condition, which you'll see as we kind of unfold the deck. His secondary effect is activate main once per turn, choose one card in your hand, place it in the drop area, and then play a Universe 6 with an energy cost of 2 or less that's blue or yellow from your hand. So a lot of value plays with this leader. I will say this leader has very distinct weaknesses, very distinct strengths, and I think that all in all, its weaknesses kind of outweigh its strengths. So you get a lot of value plays from your hand. You play on a very above the curve energy tempo, but the hand tends to dwindle to the point of around turn 3 or turn 4, you're sitting at 4 to 5 cards in your hand versus stuff like Frieza Prison or some of the quicker draw decks that might load their hand with, 12, 13 cards in your hand. And this deck really loses hard to hand aggro. So those being the weaknesses, I'm going to move the leader to the side so that you all can be reminded that it is a hit deck. Moving on to the 1-drops, we do play 4 of the 1-drop Khalifa the Bold Sister. She's probably our most desired turn 1, turn 2 play, especially off of Hit's effect. So she can't be KO'd by your opponent's skills. She can still be taken out by battle, and she can still be KO'd by energy reductions or battle power reductions. So in the case of like Red Baby or the current red engines will deal with her quite easily. Auto, when you play this card, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and you grab one blue or yellow Universe 6 card among them and add them to your hand. So this is going to be our primary searcher in the early game, plus it also sets up other plays. We do run 4 of her. She's quite amazing. And then on to our next 1-drop, we play 2 of Kel, the Timid Sister. She's not as good in early turns, but she's really good in later portions of the game. So she has that same can't be KO'd by opponent's skills, but she also has, when you play this card, choose one blue or yellow Universe 6 card in your drop area with an energy cost of 3 or more and add it to your hand. Now there's a few cards that we're going to look for with this effect, and I'll kind of point those out later. You'll see as we kind of get going, the higher forms of the sisters and Champa maybe, or a 5-drop Hit that you had to discard, but we're going to use her for recursion and getting our cards back. And the next card that we're going to play, I'm running currently 4 of Cabo Bonds of Universe 6. I might adjust this to be 3 of him and then 3 of the Kel Timid Sister. He's amazing for getting your Khalifas or Kels back, or being able to get a... I guess those would be your 2 if you've got a Khalifa in the drop area or the Kel in the drop area. But his effect is when you play this card, if there's a Universe 6 card in your drop area, you may choose one card in your hand, place it in the drop area. If you do, choose one blue or yellow Universe 6 card with an energy cost of 1 in your drop area and play it. So if you have a dead card, say like a Champa or a 5-drop Hit in your hand, and you really need to get into a Khalifa to continue more aggressive plays, you can do that. You can discard the useless card in your hand, play Khalifa, search out a card which replaces the discarded card, and then keep going from there. This guy's amazing. This changed the entire deck for me. Once I found this card, I really found a new respect for this deck. So I do play 4. I think that's maybe a little bit too much, and I might reduce this to 3 to bring Kel, Timid Sister up to 3 if you wanted to give that a shot. Next, we're playing 3 of the Kaba Saiyan of Universe 6. This guy's absolutely amazing. When you play this card, you search up to the top 7 cards of your deck and choose 2 cards among them that are blue and yellow in Universe 6, add them to your hand, then discard 1 card. And then his secondary effect is if when he's played, there's a planet Sadala in your battle area, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards, switch it to cards in rest mode, and then that card cannot be switched back to active mode during your opponent's next turn. This is pretty awesome for keeping something that's incredibly aggressive in rest mode and being able to keep yourself alive. This is the primary search target off of our next card. Really, we're just going to use this to dig, find combo pieces, and then if Planet Sadal is out, keeping your opponent's stuff in rest mode. The next card that we're going to look at is the Sisterly Bonds Kel. I'm currently playing 3 of her. You're going to play her and then use her to search for the most appropriate target is going to be the 2-drop Kaba that I just showed, or the 1-drop Khalifa. Those are going to be your most wanted plays off of this card. So when you play this card, you look at the top 10 cards of your deck, and you find 1 Universe 6 blue or yellow that's energy cost of 2 or less and play it. I'm sorry, it's not Universe 6, it's Kaba or Khalifa. So this does not find Kells, or this does not find other Kells, and it does not find hits. So we're really looking at Kabas or Khalifas. As I mentioned earlier, we want the 1-drop Khalifa or the 2-drop Kaba. Those are probably our best plays off of this card. Next, kind of getting into our hit engine, we run 2 hit Ace of Universe 6. This is kind of like the Champa and Vados for the turn that it's played. On the turn that you play this card, Bond 2, Universe 6, you're going to be able to combo for free. So you're not going to have to spend 1 energy to play to combo with a Khalifa or 1 energy to combo with a Kel. You can just outright do it. So we do run 2 of those, though we do run Champa and Vados as well, so I didn't want more of that. And then we run 2 of the hit after Image Master. Auto, when you play this card, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and warps it, but then also activate main. He can warp himself and bring himself back at the beginning of your next turn. So this kind of helps ensure that we have a hit on board for when we go into the 5-drop hit. But this card is pretty vulnerable to counterplays because he can be hit by counterplays when he's played, but then he also can be hit by counterplays as soon as he comes back to the field from being warped by his own effect. So for that reason, we only play 2, but I thought the mix there would be good. It would help in situations where we might need one or the other. Moving into our super combo, we've got 4 of the Megetta Defender of Universe 6. It's a 5 or less super combo, so nothing to explain there. You need super combos. Those are just as good as any others. Our 3-drop, we play 2 of the Champa Scheming God of Destruction. So this is going to be the card that we're going to search for off the leader's effect when your opponent's leader flips back to front. But this is the card that's going to be played. You're going to choose 1 blue or yellow Universe 6 card in your battle area. It's going to gain 10,000 power and double strike for the turn. So with the 5-drop hit that's coming, that's going to make a 30,000 dual attack double strike that warps a card. And it's just going to provide a lot of pressure for your opponent. I will say that this is kind of related to the weak point in this deck. You can, of course, Zerg with this deck, but the win condition has to occur much later than the Kaba Universe 6 win condition. So we only run 2 of these. We don't want these clogging our hand. We discard enough that if we see them, we can pretty much discard them at will. And then next we're playing 3 of the Champa and Vados Gracious Aids. Being able to combo in this deck is important, but not as important as, say, in the Kaba variant or a Hercule variant. So the Champa Vados permanent reduce the combo cost of your blue and yellow Universe 6 cards. And then also, if for any reason this card is destroyed or is removed from battle area by an opponent's skill, you may choose 1 of your cards in your hand, place it in the drop area, and then play this card in rest mode instead of being sent to the drop area. Which then makes it vulnerable to your opponent swinging on it, but a lot of times, more often than not, your opponent won't waste their effects trying to pop this Champa Vados. Unless they're just trying to keep your hand size down, which is, again, the big kind of flaw in this deck. But we do run 3 of those. Then we've got two of the Brilliant Pairing Keflas. I play her pretty much every time that I see, or we got two of them, sorry. It's two of the Brilliant Pairing Keflas. I pretty much play these every time that I see them. It's a ton of aggro. It's a ton of pressure. It's a free Union Patara, so if you've got a one-drop Kel and a one-drop Khalifa, you can pretty much just play her and swing twice for 19,000. Big bummer part, can only be one of these on the turn at any, or one on the board at any given point. Which is okay. We don't mind that. Oftentimes, if I have this, I will use this to go for game after putting pressure on with the hits. So we play two of those. And then moving into our big combo pieces, as I'm sure many of you know, we've got four of the Khalifa, the Awakened Sister, and then four of the Kel, the Awakened Sister. I'm kind of showing these together because for most intents and purposes, they are generally the same card. The Kel is when you combo with this card, you can play it on top of a blue Kel on your side of the field. And then when you play this card, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, switch it to rest mode, then negate that card's skill for the duration of the turn, then return it to its hand. Sorry, it has to choose cards in rest mode. I said it switches. The Khalifa is the one that switches. So on the Kel, you're going to choose a card in rest mode, negate its skill, and then return it to its hand. This is awesome against Brawly. It's awesome against things that want to protect itself or, are going to protect. It doesn't ignore barriers, so keep that in mind. But she's a 20,000 crit, which makes her incredibly aggressive. And I've just sat with these guys on the field and just swung and critted my opponent out before. But conversely, the Khalifa is exactly the same thing, except she's double strike. She's going to play herself when comboed onto a yellow Khalifa. And then her skill is when she's played, you're going to choose one card in your opponent's battle or energy and switch it to rest mode. So generally, order of operations, if you're playing both of them at the same time, is going to be play the Kel, or to play the Khalifa, switch a card to rest mode, then play the Kel, negate its skill, and return it to hand. Or maybe switch an energy card to rest mode and then play the Kel out and keep your opponent from defending. But we play four each of those. Those are our primary aggro cards. Kind of moving forward to our win condition. This is hit Pride of Universe 6. This guy's kind of weird, and I think this is the piece that keeps Time Skip Hit from being just as good as Kava. Even though I really want this card to be good, I've tried to make this really good. The biggest problem with this is that your opponent has to have four or you have to have four or more energy. So you can't get this off if you are, even though you can evolve him at 3, you have to wait until until you have 4 energy, if that makes sense. So turn 3, you can play him, but he won't get his effect until turn 4. And since you've already evolved on turn 3, you won't get the effect on turn 4. So you have to hold off on turn 4. And if it's your opponent's 4th turn, chances are they're going to go in on you and just beat you before you get to this point. So it makes you wait for your win condition, which is the big negative to this deck. But let's get into his effects. He's a dual attack 20,000. He evolves for 2 yellow and a colorless onto a hit of energy cost of 2. Bond 2 Universe 6. When a card evolves into this card, if your leader is a yellow Universe 6 card and you have 4 more energy, flip your opponent's leader card to its front side. If you do, your opponent can't use their Awaken or Wish skills until the end of their next turn. So for the duration of the next turn, they're not going to be on their backside. They're not going to be resolving their effects. It's going to be harder for them to defend against your Kel, Khalifas, and barrage of hit attacks. And then also activate main. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards, negate its skill for the duration of the turn, and send it to its owner's warp area. At the end of your opponent's next turn, play the card sent to the warp by this skill to its owner's battle area in rest mode. So if they have something they want to defend with, or a card that you're really worried about next turn, you're just not sure if you can beat them out this turn, warp a card. It comes back at the end of your opponent's next turn, but at least it's off the field. It's no longer a threat for you. Again, can't do this until you're at 4 more energy. I didn't realize that in the beginning and had a couple misplays where I played it on turn 3. And I'm just saying the ability to do that on turn 3 versus turn 4 makes a world of difference. It's an incredibly well-balanced card, but there's a lot of things in this game right now that aren't balanced. So it kind of makes up. it's a little bit slower for that reason. Next, we play 2 Planet Sadala. This deck doesn't rely on Planet Sadala as much as like Kaba Universe 6 does. But basically, when you play this card, you're going to choose a 1 Universe 6 from your hand with an energy cost of 2 or less and play it. If you played a card with this skill, draw 1 card. And then auto, when this card is placed in the drop area from your battle area, choose one of your opponent's energy, switch it to rest mode, then look at the top 5 of your cards, choose 1 Universe 6 with an energy cost of 5 or less among them and add it to your hand. So basically, if I play Planet Sadala, I'm going to play a 2-drop, draw a card, and then I play another Planet Sadala. 1 is going to go to the drop area. I'm going to get to search for pretty much any Universe 6 in this deck and add it to the hand from doing this, plus switching one of my opponent's energy to rest mode. But we do only play 2 of those. And then kind of moving on to our counters, we play 2 Time Magic. This is just to keep us safe against 2 dual attackers, or if I need to just prevent attack to survive, we play 2 Time Magic. And then we play 3 of Flying Nimbus. This is really just against anything that might swarm us, whether it be a rival Universe 6 deck or something that's going to have a lot of dual attacks. Frieza, Trader Dende is a big one that I can think of. Brawly is another one that this works pretty well against. But that is the majority of the yellow Universe 6 hit deck. I will put up a deck profile of the Kaba Universe 6 deck that's been doing pretty well at our locals. Aaron provided me that deck list. I'm going to kind of tweak it and see what I think about it. I've been so stuck on hit that I've largely ignored Kaba, with the exception of for right after it first came out. I played it for about a week before switching back to hit. I do love the hit deck. It's a lot of fun. Cons, hyper energy efficient. There's oftentimes you can end your turn with 2 or 3 open energy. The problem is there's not a whole lot to do with that energy. So maybe playing Frost Deadly Poison or the Trickster Champa as kind of ways to defend yourself, in addition to cons being small hand size and late turn and late win condition. You have to be on your turn 4 with 4 energy to get that effect off. So kind of balance it out here. The deck doesn't draw nearly as much as Kaba Universe 6, which is probably the thing that makes Kaba Universe 6 the favorable leader for the U6 leader. But if you guys like what you saw, please make sure to subscribe, leave a comment below. If you want to see any type of deck profiles, make sure to let us know. We're happy to do anything. I know we've got a lot more content coming in the future that we'd like to get out for you guys. But until then, Fluff out.